Greetings and welcome to Media Center and the debate topic north of Kosovo after return of Serb representatives in power. What does opposition observe as key challenges? Panelists today are Ivan Vučković, assembly member in the Municipal Assembly, Leposavić from Citizens Initiative Roots, Milija Biševac, MA representative of the Serbian Popular Movement, Marko Jakšić, North Mitrovica from Initiative North for Everybody, and Zoran Brobenović, Municipal Assembly member in Zvečan in Serbian democracy. From our panelists, we expect to hear what are the key challenges they face today as local governments in north of Kosovo. What is the approach of central authorities to the authorities in north, and what are the biggest problems for citizens in north of Kosovo? What are the negative and maybe also positive consequences of the three-year administration by Albanian mayors, as well as expectations from new local authorities in the next period? We shall start from Leposavić. Mr. Vučković, what are the key challenges municipalities of Zvečan faces today after the change of local administration? What are the biggest problems of citizens? What is the approach of the central authorities? And what are the expectations from the authorities? Is there something you are currently having a grudge with current administration so far, although they're only for a few months here? I would like to greet my colleagues and all present. Thank you for the invitation. Let me start from the last one. Do we hold any grudges on the ones who are only for 3 months now? These are old personalities. They are not new for us. And there are so many grudges I have against them. And I constantly have a grudge against them from one to another meeting. And in my public work, I simply give my best at least to our citizens initiative, draw attention to issues. There are so many different problems that now when we observe them, these are cannot be resolved after 3 years. Some have finished and others are done, that there is no return. And on the other hand, of course, that we should not lose faith that we can change something, and we are working in this direction. What definitely in Leposavić is a true issue is infrastructure, which has not seen any investment for years, respectively. Another issue is that with the new budget, which was adopted by the previous assembly, all the money were allocated, and new administration, in a sense, does not have any possibilities to rebalance those expenses, and these all expenses are mainly related to Bosnian villages, Ceraja and other Albanian villages, and there is a curiosity that all the amounts were set for final construction of the swimming pool in Leposavić, and all these are issues municipality has to face, otherwise they will not have money to cover. Also, another great issue is potable water provision, and we are drawing attention to this from year to year, that every time when there is a need to work, that Leposavić, beside all those 6 running rivers and also the factory to water treatment plant, which is being built for ages now, we are still facing water restrictions. Leposavić are facing issues. Before it was 3 months, and now due to the bad situation in the water basin under Kopaonik, now this grows longer to 6 months, and those who have done such who are going to complete this are going to be as some kind of mecenas in being respected. And what I would like to focus in the first part is that entering the municipal assembly in Leposlavich, I thought that in idealistic senses, I was considering that this is a group of people who wish well to the community and would be exchanging ideas, brainstorm, and share interesting opinions and thoughts. No, unfortunately, I have faced a theater where 12 of them municipal assembly members of Serbian List sit, and they go to their feuds. I call them as feuds. They vote by default, as youth would call them. They ask for the floor, respectively. For the first time, they ask for the floor with a paper they have read, while the rest of us, two of us, three, I observe us as theater play actors who just change their from one to another, that everything is being rejected, and that I can notice that they want to see and understand and accept our creative ideas, but that is the end to everything, and there is no other responses. Let me, when there's time, I can speak here for ages. Hence, in principle, what we are working on for the moment is, and we have covered this in our campaign, and we can see that with our public approaches, that slowly, in a sense, people are not feeling the issue of being afraid anymore, which is what I notice now, that there is an increase of likes on the street, people walking, approaching me, because so far they did not have anybody who would be sharing something opposite, respectively not sharing the opinion with Srpska Lista. Now, when I come, I see people reacting, exchanging ideas, and they send me SMSs. I have constructed such an interaction. They call me on the phone. Leposlavich is a small place. They send me text messages, social networks, etc. And everything they ask for, I present that in the assembly. And I cannot promise to anybody that I will be resolving that. But on the other hand, I go by the saying, I said it and I have saved my soul, so we will be talking and talking on forth, and I can guarantee that in certain domains, and this is the confrontation of opinions, and I repeat this from campaign to campaign, and this is that with them, Serbian Lista, we cannot work together. I can propose, but absolutely cooperation with them cannot evolve at any levels, and this is a precondition to my political activities and my colleagues. Hence, what we can do is, on behalf of our community, to talk, share ideas if they accept them, because sometimes in their closed opinions and thoughts say they cannot do it, and then we, with our constructiveness, maybe shake them up and wake them up, and maybe they do something. Thank you very much. Good. Ivan, now let us hear what is the situation in Zubin Potok. Milja? There you had some issues with new representatives of the government, especially in the assembly. You even said that you were not even invited to one of the most important sessions, voting on the budget. So in general, what is the situation with you, and did anything essential change compared to the period when their Albanians were exercising power at that time in the municipality of Zubin Potok, and now when Serbs, new, old, came back? Greetings to all of you. Thank you for the invitation. When we talk about these new people, and you mentioned earlier that I had issues even before, I think that there are no new faces. It is the same old setup that were in the municipal assembly on behalf, and were sitting as a mayor. They just switched functions, because even at the time when they left the institutions, I even them remember that they were saying that we will be fighting for our rights, and with the on purpose made people to give up institutions. All those people left their jobs, lost their jobs, and now the same persons returned, respectively, the mayor and his team, who are still there present. They returned with a promise that they will be changing something, improving the situation, and returning the municipality to the people, which is absolutely against and the opposite. And as you mentioned, issues are identical. Nothing absolutely changed from the return of Srpska Lista to power, except for some procedural issues. Are there any announcements that there's something be changing. Even in the campaign I was talking about it, and I consider the municipalities of Potok and an institution, and the territorial unit is devastated, destroyed. There are great issues with water, electricity, roads, employment, private businesses. Everything is in horrendous situation, and also even the local administration is devastated and destroyed. Even then I was saying that if we wanted an improvement, we have to start from scratch, respectively start to wrap up, see what is our starting point. Also at the municipal assembly I proposed to register the property to see what was destroyed, where did all these things have, and because I consider that some municipal vehicles are lost, some other issues were destroyed. The library was in the municipal building was destroyed. Srpska lista did not initiate any procedures against the old administration, and they actually voted of illegally signed by the earlier mayor. I was asking for criminal reporting. They voted against and rejected. So this means that there's clear cooperation between them and Srpska lista. Srpska lista did not leave institutions, they just gave the authority over to Albanian mayor, so they would implement everything agreed in Brussels. There is no drastic changes. When we talk about the budget, municipality, even before we were in the assembly and we blocked the budget not to allow that Zeciri implements his dreams, and he wrote a project of underground garages in Potok, and we blocked this proposal not to waste municipal money on issues like this one. You probably are aware that the government decided to adopt the budget of Zumi Potok. They did not hold any discussions, and the budget that was adopted, in essence, is the budget of Izmir Zeciri. And all capital projects are based on some irrelevant issues. Most are directed towards Chabra village. I do not have anything against it. I believe that the budget should be distributed through everywhere. They invited me on that day and sent an invitation for an assembly that was to be organized on the 25th and the public discussion on the budget. However, during the night they opened a new session, and in the morning 8 a.m. without my presence and the presence of public voted that budget. That draft budget is funny. Problems of common people are not mentioned. Again, Zeciri's fantasies are only implemented, and now Srpska lista is implementing this, and the situation is ever worse. And what our work is that to draw attention to issues. Transparency is missing in Zumi Potok because we do not have any media. Very small number of media covers those sessions, and have received information from somebody that media are not informed at all about the assembly and similar public discussions. Hence, the situation is truly worrisome. But our work is, as I said, to work on transparency, involve people, and now invite them to participate in the work of local government, to come to sessions, because, as we know, presence is open and everybody can participate, and also addresses if they have any issues which would be later raising at the sessions. What is also important, you also mentioned it, that they voted the budget, while a day earlier they had a meeting with Minister Krasniqi. They probably agreed on in the budget. Of course, there are probably some amounts of money which are addressed for higher education, basic education, for everything else. Although we know that we don't have any employees, which means that they will probably be opening vacancies and start with slow integration of both health and other institutions in Kosovo system, while telling the people that they will be fighting and that these institutions will remain within the system of the Republic of Serbia. Yes, thank you. Now let us hear what is the situation in the municipality of Zvečan. Mr. Obrenović, how do you, as an opposition municipal assembly leader, assess the situation in Zvečan after the return of the Serbian representatives in power? What are the greatest problems in Zvečan? What the local government should, by you, first resolve, and briefly, what were the consequences or benefits of 3 years management by Albanian representatives? I would like to greet you all, Zoran Obrenović, on behalf of Serbian democracy. The biggest issue is that we are always in defense. Serbian democracy from its existence started offensively with the instrument of citizens' voice, using whistles. We woke up the people and shown to the people that you can always peacefully protest. We had support then, very strong support. We have shown this in first parliamentary elections where we have won around 3,500 votes in Zvečan. Horrible. Nothing moved since, I don't know, maybe since existence in 11th century. We have an assembly. The assembly is taken by the Serbian list is in majority, and of course they always take decisions alone, on their own. What could I say about it? As everybody said, these are the same new old mayors, MA members, from one to another party, from one to another. I am always expecting to come and move to our party. Why not? We are a strong party. I would like to propose some solutions. I do not want to share the issues because we always talk about them. But it is not everything about the problems. We have to find solutions. Zvečan needs first local buses. Our people, citizens in fact, in Zvečan need a local bus. There is no buses, and this is a great issue for everybody. Small Zvečan, Banska, Banovo, Žeravica, Lipa. Taxi services are very expensive, and people truly need some kind of local buses. Zvečan had these even before. I would also like to mention the Elektrosever, as they call it, the public electricity company. People are complaining greatly about this Elektrosever. And if there is some kind of support and not only pressures, we notice this pressure always from both government of Kosovo and the security, which is our greatest problem throughout the north, and maybe Kosovo, not probably, but not probably, definitely throughout Kosovo. Recently, throughout the north, I feel as if Elektrosever being on their side, such pressures that they have placed irregular meters. Invoices very high. I have so many complaints, often complaining. Citizens often complaining, and I expect from Elektrosever, or at least from some kind of pressure from Zvečan, mayor and institutions in Zvečan to exercise some pressure to have some kind of a social program to, at least for those who are homeless, or I don't know, single mothers, to have this kind of social programs with lower bills. Elektrosever could do this, and not like as if being as mother-in-law. Zvečan has great potentials for tourism, where especially we could represent Banska, Sokolica, Devnevo, the fort of Zvečan, and we should. By this, we would increase the success of Zvečan. There would be larger number of tourists, and we would feel safer. Social programs, especially the municipality should reconstruct it. Maybe we could have another social program pursuant to the law on municipalities to reinstate it. What else could I say about Zvečan? And what about the employed? This could be a question for all of you later. We are talking about that older, new dignitaries returned to power. However, then, when they were leaving these institutions, people were employed. And they also quit their jobs. What happened to them? Did anybody return to work in these municipalities, those that were working earlier? What is the situation in Zvečan, since we are with you? Situation in Zvečan about this is alarming about this issue, because all people from Albanian community are employed, and this is a great issue of language barrier, because simply they don't understand. I had this issue. I was even arrested in the municipality when I asked an interpreter because they were sending for some kind of paper, Zubin Potok, Lipa, Mitrovica, and then when I asked for an interpreter, I don't understand at all. They called FIT, who arrested me. Last time it was interesting when at the last assembly meeting in Zvečan, Mr. Peci, former mayor, asked interpreter. Apparently his interpreter did not come. They reacted. They immediately found an interpreter. I don't know why there is such a difference that we can find an interpreter immediately, while at that time they could not provide an interpreter, not only for me, but for all citizens in the municipality in Zvečan. Okay, this is a great issue. Okay, thank you very much. Now, let us hear what is the situation in North Mitrovica. We have MA Assembly Member Mr. Jakšić. Mr. Jakšić, what are the greatest issues for the municipality now? What are the biggest problems for the citizens in North Mitrovica? Is it utilities, security, administrative services, or maybe something else? What is the situation of these projects and municipal investments that were initiated in earlier periods, and what do you observe as three key challenges local authorities face or are going to face in the future? Greetings to all of you. Thank you for the invitation to participate in this discussion, talking about problems in the municipalities in the north, and not considering the entire context in relation to the Brussels, respectively, Ohrid process would be pointless. Everything what was happening in the last 3 years and happening in the last months since the Serbs returned to administrative bodies, not municipalities, but administrative bodies, tells us that even now 3 parties are playing with our lives and our fate and future. I cannot extract official Pristina from this represented, I have to say. A very problematic person who is not hide his hate against Kosovo Serbs, official Belgrade, who constantly in silence are implementing all agreed agreements, and the most problematic international community who are aware of our suffering but do not have any understanding for our suffering, still take into consideration that everything is happening, all the bad things happening to us since Kurti came to power, but there is no concrete reaction in protecting our human minority and other rights guaranteed by the Constitution of Kosovo. And within this, you should observe also the work of the municipalities in the north, including the main municipality, respectively North Mitrovica, where Mitrovica is in fact the arena of all our conflicts and fights in Kosovo and Metohija. And within this, since the return onwards, we have this what would be called institutional obstruction of the municipal work. In the last 3 years, police was the one who assisted municipality in implementing municipal decisions. However, now same police and marginal decisions they're trying to control, prevent, and exercise pressure over people who would like to implement them. I shall take as an example from the past And now the work of the municipal inspectorate. Previous director was a sheriff. Mr. Berzati was a local sheriff. I am pretty sure that he was administrator of the colonial administrator of North Kosovo, who, for the benefit of the government of Kosovo and Albin Kurti, does what is being done in North. His assistant was Mr. Berzati, who truly addressed, compared to the owners of businesses, people who have constructed different buildings as a sheriff. Now there is a new person in his place, and he tried to implement several legal decisions. He faced obstructions by police, and police has taken the stances body over the body who verifies this legality of decisions. In essence, this would be the courts and other institutions. In our sense, this is being done by the police. And I think that the only role of Srpska Lista as majority in the work in Mitrovica and all other four municipalities is to prevent what happened in the last 3 years and not to change something for the good. Because obviously in their work they are not going to achieve full capacities of municipalities due to what we mentioned just now. Leaders are Serbs, while employees are Albanians. And I had an opportunity to notice at some assembly meetings that Albanians workers in municipality are truly listening to the representative of Vedvendosje, and they consult him during their work, meaning that they are part of that police state Kurti is implementing in the north. Town as such is being destroyed, and the municipality needed a month and a half to reinstate public lighting, which was not working, so they could not do this in real time. We also have budget from Atic time, and we will have to implement, which truly is not on benefit of the citizens, but it is for the benefit of citizens of certain nationality. And as guinea pigs in this project, our freedoms are defined by the project and are limited by the project. We can be political representatives, but if we would like to decide on something and work truly, this is not in line with the context of the entire agreement and the entire project. And here, there are no space for great optimism. The biggest challenges in the next periods, as I said, obstructions by central authorities, through police. This will be the main challenge for all municipalities in the north, especially North Mitrovica. Lack of understanding and lack of support by the official Belgrade, who truly has left us to the mercy of Kurti's regime and current problems in the city related to potholes, water, city lights, work of the small and medium economy, which is being destroyed by the day. And this will bring migration of people. And now if we add here the issues related to the law on foreigners and then diplomas, integration of education and health and everything else, there is no light future where we would be as politicians dealing with some other issues of local people, which we in fact do. Because at every assembly meeting I use an opportunity that every problem raised by any of my fellow citizens, I try to raise their issues, and I always give my best to draw attention to these issues, although I'm pretty sure that I cannot help them and influence change. Okay, thank you very much. Let me just ask if there are any questions, colleagues. Okay, then, Zorica, just let them respond to the question of workers. Does anybody from the previously employed return, and are they entitled, and people who are now there, do they have? Are they employed on service contracts? Albanian media in Pristina have said that there are some Albanians that were removed, terminated their jobs, especially municipality of Zvečan. Did something happen? Are they forced, convinced, or they were just, they returned and they left their jobs on their own? Did anybody return? Situation in Zubin Potok is a bit specific in relation to this. When we talk about the people who have already left institutions, today they are now in containers, border crossing points, which our president will be visiting soon. And I hope will get some force to tell him about the situation Srpska Lista placed them in and what did this mean. Majority of these people lived with the conviction that they will be returning to their jobs and everything will be as it was. But only dignitaries and mayors return to their functions. And furthermore, in Zubin Potok, a very specific situation is that some of them did not leave the institutions at all. They were just receiving salaries and were hiding in the system. Some certain directors, etc., while common people had to sign 40,000 contracts with the Republic of Serbia, which is not legally binding to have permanent jobs. On the other hand, municipality of Zubin Potok, there is a number of Albanians who were employed, and absolutely, I don't have anything against this. I don't care if somebody is a Serbian, Albanian, or English, or whatever. It is important that that person serves the citizens and doing their functions pursuant to the rules, and they are service to common people. However, in Zubin Potok now, Srpska Lista came. We now have 20-30% who were hired by the previous administration, respectively in the time of Ziciri. Maybe there were questions how they were hired. This could be observed. Srpska Lista tried to force them to move to Srpska Lista and become part of it, since most of them did not want to do it now. It is dumb to say this. They are placed in a basement in the municipal building, and for 2 months they are sitting now without any infrastructure, heating, power, anything. They don't do anything at all because simply placed. Nobody told them what they have to do. Hence, this is the situation now, unfortunately, and I think that nothing changed, as I said earlier. Okay, Ivana, go ahead. At one of the municipal sessions, I have mentioned this problem. In Leposavic, there are around, they were throwing different figures. 53 Albanians that were employed, and so many Serbs as well. So Serbs were hired, but what they are doing now is that these Serbs, despite valid contracts, I do not have information with Albanians that were hired there. They are not receiving any salaries. There are those who have contracts for short-term contracts or contracts to 2-3 year contracts. Even those with permanent contracts, they are not paid accordingly. And what I've heard when I raised this issue, wanting to get an answer for this, the mayor just briefly told me somewhere before the session that these contracts that were signed were not valid. All the people were receiving salaries for a year and a half, that they have come to understand earlier, that they did not leave any space for complaint, that they are not competent. Those that were in those positions, I was strange. I was saying, like, you from Srpska Lista, you're very well known that you are hiring the most competent ones, because I can notice that now they have elected new administration with the mayor, and they cannot very be proud of the competence. And I have to add that those who have returned are doing director positions in Serbian system. In fact, those people who walked to Belgrade, one of them was appointed as a director of youth, culture and sports. These are functions, not jobs. But yeah, I see this as a benefit. I know that they are not competent. I even told them that if we are going to observe who hired, we will be opening Pandora's box, and then we will be unveiling so many things in relation to you, things which we know, but just to have it through papers. Hence, now they called me. I feel sorry about those people. They could not find a job for all these years. They had this opportunity to get hired, and now you have the same authorities who 3 years ago finished the process, and now they're angry with them. I simply want to find for all these people, and I fought for them and I asked for them. I have their names, and they are now organized to try to at least draw attention to their issues. Okay. Marco answered, and Zoran as well, in relation to this question. Yes, Zorica. Look, from what you all said now, so far, I didn't see any optimism. And I think that citizens expected exactly this change of situation after, how much now? 3 years since Albanian mayors and administration general were managing 4 municipalities in the north. And what I in fact wanted to ask is, in fact, from Srpska Lista during the campaign for October elections, we heard from Vulović finally admitting that they made a mistake. Serbian List representatives by leaving institutions. Yesterday or the day before, we heard that, not maybe directly from Dalibor Jeftić, but we also heard here another sentence which is very strange for all of us, that institutions in North were left because citizens asked for this. Now, Marco, since you are one of those who left institutions at that time, judiciary, could you please remind us and all the rest? Was it truly the citizens asking for this from Srpska Lista? Or was it demanded by Belgrade and Srpska Lista, as we considered and reported and talked about this? And for you, Mr. Obrenović, municipality of Zvečan, in a sense, suffered the most in the last 3 years. We had these 2 horrific events. First in May 2023, when we had this conflict in front of the municipality, and then Banjska as well. Earlier, you were talking about tourism and potentials. One of the potentials was Rajska Banja. However, there are no employees there, nor the potential, I think, for this spa and tourism. Do you expect any better days for the municipality of Zvečan? We can hear that many people moved away after these 2 events. Do you see any bright future? Let me frame my question this way. Yes, go ahead. Citizens of the north, especially Mitrovica, in the last, after these 3 years, expected to see more normal life. Did not expect any great improvements. They were just expecting that the pressure that was constant was going to move away, which happened in a sense. It is a little lighter compared to what it was in September, but this is not the sense of dealing in politics and political activity of anybody, and including Srpska Lista as well. As to the second question in relation to Srpska Lista statements, in relation to people moving away from institutions, this shows us their lack of consistency or not being able to guide themselves through time and space. If somebody at a certain time went to a certain path which maybe was not the best one, you cannot in the middle say that that was an error or hide behind the citizens and try to move the burden of making great decisions to the backs of citizens. This is showing the lack of competencies than anything else. I have responded to journalists so many times. I was asked so many times about the reasons leaving institutions. I can talk about my decisions, and I have said it always. I stand behind my decisions. I don't consider them wrong. In the institution where I worked, it was the last attempt to exercise pressure over international community to see existing problems that were happening 2 years before the institutions. We left institutions. I have personally raised issues so many times about the agreements related to the institution I was working and violation of such institutions, of those agreements. Nobody from international representatives didn't want to listen. Agreements that were signed in 2015, 16, 17 in relation to justice were violated from the moment when Kurti came to power. And my decision, I believe, decision of my colleagues was an attempt to draw attention of international community representatives. What were the motives of political representatives of Srpska Lista of that time? I don't know. What was their goal? I don't know. If this decision from their perspective was right or not, once again, this is a question for them. I can talk only about my perspective. Did the people ask for it? No, no. It is crazy, as any kind of politician, or even of the lowest rank, to burden of decision-making of somebody who was for many years in politics, to try to shift this burden to the people. Okay, our people is used to being denigrated by representatives of Srpska Lista, but this is a great offense and offending all people and citizens, because sometimes decisions are not unpopular and politicians have to take that, and you cannot say that you're to be blamed and President Vučić was right. President Vučić was right, but can you believe in this room or anybody watching this, can anybody believe that anybody could decide anything against President Vučić? As I can say that anybody could decide contrary to Albin Kurti's decision. No, when Srpska Lista decided to do something while President Vučić did something else, wanted something else. Come on, that's unbelievable. Go ahead. I have to comment this statement, which for me, okay, this Vulović said this spontaneously. Well, this was a cynical statement, scandalous, and there are so many terms I would use, but they're probably not politically correct. Hence, this statement made me feel shivers, hiding behind the people. If the people would like to decide, I would like to see a referendum for the people. This is, in a sense, normal situation. And even if they were to rig it, they have some kind of decision. On the other hand, what we are talking about, what I could praise them in this sentence, there are some praise for them. They have admitted their error, come on, and just unluckily. How many decisions so far they made, and we suffered because of their decisions and errors, and now look, now they are admitting to making an error. But what both statements links these two sentences? Yes, okay, we made an error, and what? There is no accountability. Okay, there is no nothing to pay for those errors, in a sense. And I was thinking, and I'm pretty convinced about that the time of responsibilities is coming, accountability is coming, and I'm pretty sure that these errors are going to be analyzed by somebody else while you recognize and admit to each other that you're making a decision. This is the decision of the party, and you might not face anything, but I'm afraid that all the decisions they are talking about and the ones they did not admit, they will be responding for such. And I'm pretty sure that nothing anymore can be left under the carpet anymore. Okay? Milia? As to the statement by Mr. Jeftić, I would call it being hypocrisy and cynical, trying to denigrate the people, but by this he probably had some kind of attempt to justify the politics of Alexander Vučić, justify everything what they did in the field, to find some better position for himself, which he does not have currently. As to mistakes, we are talking about mistakes. Owing to their mistakes, now we have more than 200 arrested Serbs. There are so many people who cannot return today in Zvečan. People who participated in incidents in Zvečan. There are 50 people who are in Podevo, while no dignitaries of the Srpska Lista were not arrested, not even invited for discussion. Some maybe, but that's it. They have spent the people and made consequences. I hope that in the future people will be understanding better whom to vote. You said that there is no optimism earlier. Of course there is optimism. If there was no optimism, we would not come here today and we would not deal with this. If there is no optimism and believing that situation could change, that there is a desire to change. The problem is, as I said earlier, that these are hypocritical persons who hide once behind Belgrade, use these making the people being afraid, and when there are difficulties, they hide behind the people. I think that the people should be judging and understanding the situation they brought us to us and start thinking with their own heads and fighting for their own interests. Thank you. There was a question for you as well. Well, I will only add to what was said. I just remembered a comment where Filipovic says, they will be hunting us like rabbits. This is a response to all this who accepted it. Was it the people? Did they listen to the people? Or so the people did not want to leave the institutions? With the response of Filipovic, who at that time was the head for the northern part of police in Zvečan. Zvečan had capacities. It is a warm town. The citizens are very zealous, honest. There are capacities and possibilities to see development. I didn't remember earlier, but for example, I did not mention diaspora. We could invite diaspora. For example, to participate in some donations for small businesses, for example, buildings that are in municipal authority, to have them start. These are the buildings between Srbovac and Grabovac, a great building which was reconstructed several times. We could give it to diaspora to use it for some kind of a businessman with a purpose to hire greater number of workers from Zvečan. Hotels are called Trojka. It is not functioning now. It can always be used. There are so many other than Mali Zvečan up there. Number of population could increase. These apartments could be disseminated. I don't want. Okay, keep this for the assembly. All these proposals. This is the essence. Our survival doesn't depend only from comments and judging those who didn't do anything. It depends on us what we could do, and I'm giving true proposals what could be done. This is the most honest. We can do this, but it does not depend on me because I am alone out of 14 assembly members. Any other questions? Go ahead. What we were listening always that leaving institutions was a catastrophic error. Once again, when I hear it, even now the situation is not so better. But what is similar for you and Srpska Lista is that you are there to improve citizens' life. Is there any proposals to improve lives, or they have to wait for new elections? We are talking constantly. So, yes, we are in opposition and we are here to criticize, and we do this. But, for example, myself and Leposavic have shown that I want to be very constructive. And, for example, for years I deal with culture, and this is something Leposavic is missing. Some time ago was the greatest in the region, but then it fell into forgiveness. Leposavic is even worse. Retired people are managing it. So two main people in culture I just calculated have together around 150 years, so we cannot do this without youth. And what I was proposing was exactly this, a plan in this domain. Culture, everybody was complaining. In fact, myself were always raising culture. Just now I'm preparing for the next assembly meeting to give a work plan for the entire year, which of course is not definite, which could be polished, but to show them that, look, you here, you have an idea. We're not going to implement it with you, but here, at least you have a path which with you we could do. Another thing we were doing always was to insist on some kind of solution. This is what we can do. When we talk about, we want to give proposals, as Soran said. Of course, there are not only 3 of us in the assembly. They overvote us always on everything. Once I even told them, Now you can declare that it is night, although it is day now, because they have such of understanding for politics. Slowly, with us insisting and directing towards some problems, they have started slowly to think in a different sense. I have noticed with them that they started accepting it, and this is the only way of our fight. And we are always raising the issues the citizens are asking constantly every day in interaction with them, and this is what we can do at this time, and we're not going to stop with this and raising these issues. So we go towards this kind of persistence. Only briefly, because we have limited time, there is so many time. What is the solution? What do you see? Should we wait for new elections to improve? Yes, it is very long to wait for 4 years, because with the tempo they started working, there is a question mark if we are going to be here around 4 years. What our task is, Ivan mentioned it earlier, we should raise the awareness to start fighting for their rights. We are here to talk, to draw attention to problems, criticize them, and the biggest task is to force them to do their job, which they are not doing for years. This is our task, but of course we will not be able to do it alone. And one person cannot change the world. We need people, hence we always invite everybody to get involved and talk about problems, because at least for years is now forbidding people to talk about the issues. And this is the issue. We cannot talk about problems which we don't know about. People have to talk about them, and then our task is to force them to do their job in institutions. Our power is very small. We are small opposition in all these municipalities, and based on this we cannot do great things. We can deal with smaller problems for people, and we do this. Bottom line, one assembly was sufficient to resolve the problem in one of the neighborhoods, Mikronaselja. That was sufficient. Another meeting was sufficient to fix city lighting. And we can raise everyday problems of citizens in the assembly, and as much as possible this people, Srpska Lista, feel pain about this, and they try to resolve these because somebody has is making the problems by drawing attention to such problems. But we always have ideas, and we're going to propose always proposals that might facilitate the life and make the life easier for everybody, and for them to keep their children in parks and have those parks look at something normal. It depends on the majority to resolve most of the things. They are going to have concrete and tangible solutions for problems of daily life for common people. Thank you. Dora, you? Or you responded already? Okay. Any other questions? I wanted to do this, although this is not directly linked to this topic, but in fact, yes, it affects the citizens in four municipalities as well as others. And this is the implementation of the law on vehicles and foreigners. In 2 years, in 2 days, we will come to 15th of March when they announced implementation. Although, what do you expect on 15th of March? And comment what President Vučić announced, that he will be talking in containers with people entering and leaving. I didn't understand where is this going to be exactly. I will just say what talking to the people. 15th of March is approaching, but everybody is unclear. And as we are used to it, this will be resolved in the last day. And now it is a problem. It is a weekend. I don't know if all services are going to work. But on the other hand, everybody is worried. This is the most important thing. Nobody cannot even foresee a solution. Not even the thing that somebody else will be resolving it. We know that. That also is not being done. Hence, in this expectation, people are, as the story with the frogs, have boiled. So now they're just waiting to see what is going to happen, with a great hope that some kind of solution will be found, that it will not strict respect for such laws, but it will be some kind of benefits provided, and it will be a solution not only postponed, because this is also being mentioned. So we are talking about human stories, I hear. We are all worried, of course, and we all observe this as a great And so not only about traffic and foreigners, what this could all cause, how will the people function. There are so many people, hundreds of people who do not have IDs, and they are just going to become foreigners in their own homes. Hence, this is the problem. Statement about the containers, truly, for me, this I can't, it is below my dignity to comment it. When we observe our history, everything is linked to containers. If he had used at least some kind of building, and container reminds me of our bad fate and all the suffering here in Gračanica. We are, for more than 20 years, we are being treated in containers. I have talked several times about this topic, and this is a great, great problem. I think that Serbs are in the most difficult position. We were drawing attention about this problem. We initiated protests 3 months ago. There was no response, and now we are to the same thing. Citizens are silenced, hoping to resolve it. On the other hand, Srpska Lista was threatening people not to come to protests, which means that they are co-executioners in implementing this law, and I think that a better solution could have been found. Unfortunately, what we are seeing that everybody is expecting, and now we return to the poor Mr. Milonovic, who said that our president will be resolving everything, and now even today I think there is a great number of people who believe that our president is going to resolve it. But you said earlier that the story about containers, unfortunately, state policy of his government and the state politics has come down to only these containers in Jarinje. He mentioned containers. He moved from tents and Chatsiland. I was believing that we will be erecting another Chatsiland there, but now he decided to use containers. So it is a very sad picture of, above all, our state and how they treat our people here. Okay? Marko? I would agree with both. And I've mentioned this so many times, that the key to many problems is in Belgrade, and a more resolute and activity and actions by Belgrade would resolve this problem in a different way compared to how it will be from 15th of March. Kurti does not have any reasons to withdraw because everything he was doing in the last 4 years is that he has seen understanding from the international community. Hence, if implementation of these two laws goes without any hiccups in the field, and for hiccups is Alexander Vucic, who keeps us under great control, will be evolving as this. It will be happening as everything else. Common people will be suffering. Great number of them will decide to give up on suffering and just leave. And we will be having new problems. And there is health after this is finished, then education, and those who will manage to make, and by the end, the entire politics of the Republic of Serbia has come to containers. The Republic of Serbia today in Kosovo, in Metohija, is a container. And this owing to Alexander Vucic, who is the most responsible for everything what happened to us. I could understand adversaries who want to make me leave this place. This is legitimate goal of my opponents, but I cannot understand those who should be our protection, that in everything participating indirectly. If the institutions of the Republic of Serbia, because we are meeting some international obligations, are moved to containers, then we also consider the Republic of Serbia container, and then in that container there will be shows, as it was somewhere else in central Kosovo several years ago, when they were giving cows, tractors, and in 2018. In essence, maybe we are also participating in our destruction because our stomachs are being filled with different assistance, aid, and other things, and we are participating in our suicide as a Serbian community in Kosovo and Metohija, because with the greater treason, that is covered with different financing, being it with 20,000 for the poor or those others in higher functions with higher amounts. I only hope that as a people we're going to manage to survive Vucic's government and to hope for new people who will be having understanding for both statehood policy and for the position of Serbs in Kosovo and Tokyo, which Kosovo is big enough for all of us. There is place for all of us and for all our differences, and we only want to live normally and in our way, in our homes, in our property. Somebody is not allowing us to this. Just to add to this. Yes, but just short, please. What Marko was talking about. Is this the reason? False stomachs, promises of employment. We had an opportunity around elections, some contracts, employment contracts in health. Is this the reason for everybody to fall silent? Full stomachs and some kind of promise. And I think that people are becoming more and more aware, and very often we can hear that we were just thrown by the floor. They are given some petty things, small things, just to keep their mouth shut to everything and to even respect advice not to go to protests at Knez Lazars. And while there are greater and greater announcements on integration of education and the future of the university, we are all witnesses to protests of several days ago. As journalists and us as organizers, we could notice in Mitrovica full coffee shops, people having shops, and observing a group of 100 people, 30 journalists, who are in front of Knez Lazar in Mitrovica. The only logical explanation to these people is that their stomachs are full enough, and that if they have accepted their fate, and as it takes, it is important that we are not suffering anything. I can't not mention my impressions from that day. When we talked on that day, somebody mentioned that it is the time to start calling each other. That the same group of people linked to any kind of protest in North Kosovo, and only if that group is affected by the fate of the university and changes in Serbia and Dinar and everything else, then maybe this what's happening to us is not just wanted to add to. It is very funny. Full stomachs. When I was collecting signatures for Zvečan, and with one friend, neighbor, acquaintance, I know them all as we all know each other in Zvečan. Not only Zvečan, but the entire north. We know each other. I said I came for signature. He said, I apologize, Zoran, but truly, I have already agreed. I have two jobs. I was like, lost. My friend, what are you talking about? He said, please apologize. This time, accept this. But I only wanted to mention the following. 15th March. After March 15th, we are going to have 16th of March. Hence, I consider that it is not the issue at this time. Maybe I will be understood wrong in protecting the stone. These are bricks, building blocks that are institutions. I apologize if you are misunderstanding me. Health and education. Albanians did not protect their institutions when they got their state. The point is in our unity. The people have to understand that only together we can protect everything, not institutions. Let us not protect institutions anymore, people. Let us unite in a sense to live, as Marko says, together. There is place for everybody, but not under pressure to live every day, to expect some kind of rest or I don't know what, but to live together. But we can protect only by all stopping as a wall, as an institution, not as an institution of Serbia, Kosovo, but an institution of a nation, of one nation to survive here, have to take a stance as one institution, as God's, yeah, there is no difference. Yes, we are approaching the end, just briefly. Simply, this topic is very interesting. But there are so many topics here. We should have organized this as a reality, 24 hours to have it constantly organized. I said it. And one colleague mentioned this, and I'm under the impression that people are getting some kind of anesthesia and they're not reacting to anything, even those things that are directly linked to them. Actually, even in our municipal assembly before them, we have proposed a statement on the things they did 10 days later. Them, Lista Srpska, they called for unity to draw their attention to the law on foreigners and have some kind of decision. They were just looking at us and they don't want to react at all, voted against it. Then later, they actually, with this suffering, they also want to get some points. But I want to say that this is truly reflecting upon the people. People, you cannot force them anymore. And I was repeating that as we started all of our executioner, the so-called Stockholm syndrome, we have given up and we do not react anymore. And I mentioned this when we were talking about the security for children. We are not reacting until it comes to our door. And this happened. The only thing is that we did not observe, and the situation when we were all together, this protest, it was not petty but sad. And all coffee shops full. Okay, not those for coming from Leposavic, but simply I don't understand people that were sitting there having cold lemonades with coffee shops. Only short. Marco explained it very nice. Yes, stomachs are full, but we have to understand that the fullest are the ones in Lista Srba and their dignitaries. It would not be acceptable from us as politicians to throw anything to the citizens. We have to mention that people are living in being afraid, and those who have filled their stomachs and the pockets are threatening the rest to raise their voice against this injustice, and then common people just start thinking and say, oh, I'm pretty sure I won't be able to change anything. The president will be resolving everything. Hence, I want to send them a message at this time and encourage them that we have to talk about problems and that we have to fight on their own. They are implementing the policy of betrayal. They are keeping it through money and also by frightening others. And this is the reason why we are here now and as we are now. Thank you very much. I would like to thank the panelists. I only wanted to add one thing. This curiosity I will be sharing now. We have announced this, but for example, let's say North and Route Initiative, etc. Since we are talking about the unification and cooperation, we have made the conclusion that we want to sign an agreement on mutual cooperation. We will be doing it in Zubin Potok on Sunday, wanting to show that, of course, we do not have all same positions, although it was looking that we have same positions, we want to add this and show this that unity is possible, and we are very well disseminated. We have invited all. A comment which the interpreter did not hear. We invited everybody. We contacted with Srpska Demokratija and people in Štrpca and people in Raniluk, people in Gračanica. So we want to establish cooperation. Us, who, let us say, have different thoughts and opinions, and we have found, in a sense, mutual language to be said and reconcile our positions, and we're coming that we are managing to reconcile more and more our positions. Hence, please, on Sunday at 1300 hours, come to Zubin Potok and let us come together. Thank you. Now we would like to talk 1 more hour about this debate, but we truly don't have any more time. Let's see, maybe by Sunday, Serbian democracy will come also. I would like to thank the panelists. I would like to thank the colleagues. for being on the debate. I wish you a very beautiful rest of the day.